You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Bold and Beautiful fans. This is Soap Dirt on YouTube, and we have got a comings and goings update that we need to talk to you about. Is Kimberlin Brown fired? Is Sheila Carter gone for good, and we just don't know it yet? Let's dig in and talk about this because according to Kimberlin Brown's IMDb, her last air date was May 29th, 2023. Where the heck is Sheila Carter now? We're going to talk about this and whether or not Kimberlin Brown has been released from her contract at CBS. If you haven't, please reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Bold and Beautiful casting news, spoilers, and more. All right, so as of right now, when we're making this video, it has been more than a month since we saw Sheila Carter in jail. And remember, at the time, she was talking to her friend Mike Guthrie, who used to be the prison guard and is himself now a prisoner because he helped Sheila and he got in trouble. But she said, I have to get out of here. So there was this whole storyline building where Sheila was doing all she could to get out of there. She talked to Jack Finnegan about repping her since he's a top criminal attorney. And he said, no, thank you. And then it sounded like she was intent on using her resources to stage an escape. And then nothing happened. So less than a week ago, Kimberlin Brown was over in Monte Carlo at the Monte Carlo TV Festival. There's a fancier name for it in, Italian, French, whatever that is. But the bottom line is she was there repping the CBS soap, repping B&B. She was there with Sean Kanan, who plays Deacon Sharpe, Patrick Duffy, who plays Stephen Logan, and Linda Purl, who plays Stephen Logan's girlfriend, whose name escapes me. But they were there representing it. So even if Bold and the Beautiful has released Kimberlin Brown from her contract, it's clear that she's still on good terms with them because she was over there representing the soap. But what it tells you by the 4 people that they sent over there to represent the soap is these are 4 people that we can spare because they are not in front burner storylines. So Stephen, of course, is the dad of the Logan ladies, and he is not needed right now. And Deacon has been in and out, but he doesn't have a front burner storyline of his own. He's more just been making commentary on what's going on with Liam and Hope, things like that, and a sounding board for Taylor as she's complaining about Brooke and trying to fix them up. So realistically, you'll recall Sheila is not the kind of person to just sit in jail. And she swore she was going to get out. And then they just abruptly dropped the storyline. Like when we had that promo of Bill Spencer swearing that he was going to steal Katie from Carter. There was a whole promo about that. There was a whole promo where Sheila was talking about Escaped. Both of those promos came out, and then nothing ever came of either of them. Similarly, we were told like a year ago, I think, that they were casting a new love interest for Thomas Forrester. Where are we at today? We've got Thomas playing tonsil hockey with Hope and the end of her marriage. Clearly, Thomas is not getting his own love interest. But they said that. Brad Bell said that in interviews. It was talked about and then just scrapped, and they never, told fans, don't hold your breath waiting on this. They're also supposed to be casting a love interest for RJ Forrester. Personally, I'm not going to get excited about it until they actually bring this person on and introduce them, because Bold and the Beautiful makes these promises to us by dropping spoiler tidbits in interviews. That's bad enough. But then they do these promos and then nothing ever comes of it. How frustrating. And, Sheila Carter is a great villain, and villains are where Bold and the Beautiful, to me, is the weakest of the 4 soap operas that's still on the air. If you look at GH, at YNR, at Days of Our Lives, they have big, bad villains, like blow up the world villains, murdering people, serial killers, real villains. And over on Bold, we've got ladies catfighting and throwing cakes at each other. Sheila Carter is one of those rare, actual, real villains, and Bold needs her because all they do aside from that is love triangles. I love Bold and the Beautiful, but it can be very frustrating. You probably know this if you're a longtime watcher, how frustrating it can be with them dropping storylines and just abruptly ending things without explaining them, without tying up the loose ends. So in that vein, we are wondering if Bold and the Beautiful quietly exited Sheila with no plans to circle back around to her storyline or to her character as Finn's biological mother. Are they going to tie up loose ends and mention that she was sentenced to life in prison and then we just never see her again? Right now, we have on the front burner, we've got Brooke and Ridge and Taylor. We've got Thomas and Hope. We've got Liam and Hope. We've got Steffi and Liam. And, Finn gets a few scenes here and there, but there's really not a lot of room on the front burner. It's a 30-minute soap, so there's like 15 to 17, maybe 18 minutes of actual storyline every day. So I'll admit, it is hard to fit in a lot of story when you've only got a half an hour format and you don't have the full hour like the other three soaps do. But at the same time, how about just not promise fans things? How about just not issue promos for storylines you never are going to follow through with, so you don't frustrate fans and leave them waiting for things that you've promised and then don't deliver? All right, so where is this Sheila Carter thing going, and is Kimberlin fired? We've got 3 other points to talk about, but if you haven't already, please reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our comings and goings, casting news, spoilers, all the stuff you want to know about Bold and the Beautiful. All right, so this can go, to me, I think, like 3 ways. They can pretend that Sheila doesn't exist and just never mention her again. That sounds ludicrous, right? From a plot continuity standpoint, but that's the kind of stuff that Bold does. They just stop mentioning people. And if you don't mention them and they're just gone, like how they exited Rena Sofer as Quinn Fuller. Remember, she was out to lunch with Carter and then she was just gone. And then they kind of mentioned that she had left town, but they didn't really, she was just gone. And that was somebody who'd been on the show a decade, just exited by. Kimberlin Brown has been on there for a long time, and she was over on Y&R too, so it would be nice if they gave her an actual exit. So the number 2 thing that we were thinking of is they could just say that she got life in prison, and then every now and then they could mention her, and Finn could say, well, I'm glad my mom's in prison, and Steffi can say, yep, me too, and just go that way. So they can just ignore it and never tie up that loose end. They can name drop and reveal her fate, or number 3, they can name drop it and say that she has escaped and no one knows where she is, and then never mention her again. And that way, if they ever want to bring her back in any capacity to either Bold and the Beautiful or Young and the Restless, they can, because as far as anybody knows, she will have been on the lam running around as a violent fugitive. What do you think? Is Sheila Carter gone for good? Has Bold and the Beautiful quietly just dealt with Kimberlin Brown's contract and cut her from the show, cut her back to even less than recurring, maybe an occasional guest star? Or are they just going to ignore it, never bring her back, never mention her again, and just kill this storyline without giving fans any closure? What do you think?
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.